All right, it's easiest to understand external content types if we understand their sibling, which is content type. So we're going to take a look at that. I've got the Mathino Group Business Intelligence Center up, and I'm going to go into Site Actions down here, and I'll come in and look at all site content. There it is. So now I can see my document libraries, and if I drill on down, I can come down here and see my list. And the difference is a document library has management functions built into it, which are on top of the functions within a list. So let's take a look, as we're working in business intelligence, at the list Performancepoint content. And that has down here by content type, Performancepoint content, which is in the list. Let's go into the list settings. And here we see the content types that are part of the list Performancepoint. And here's the different content types, and we come in and take a look at it. That content type, Performancepoint KPI, has different columns within it. So remember, a content type is an encapsulation of metadata. Here's the metadata, the site columns that wrap together that describe what we're doing with this Performancepoint KPI. Remember, we can tie together here like workflow settings so that when a Performancepoint KPI comes in, we can fire up a workflow and do a certain thing, whatever. Let's go back. Let's use the breadcrumb trail here, Performancepoint KPI, and go back over into the list settings. You can modify that list settings, etc. Right, so we have it coming on up in here, and let's go in here, and here it is, Performancepoint content. And now if I go over to lists, it's on, that list is on the quick launch bar. If I go over to the list, if I go into items, new items, and pull this down, see, this list is associated with these content types. So if I clicked one of these, actually Dashboard Designer would fire on up, and I'd be able to come in and create that. Okay, now let's go in and create a library that is associated with a content type. So let's go home. And we'll go Site Actions, and we're going to create, I'm going to go More Options down here because I like this little gallery pop-up. For those of you working in business intelligence, and if you're not, what are you doing in this course? You notice the use of these little icon graphics down here. Those are very powerful. Frankly, that's one of the things you want to really pay attention to in business intelligence, is the use of graphics through there, because people will start flying through your stuff because they recognize the graphics. But we're going to come in here and we're going to create, let's do a document library. And I'm going to give it a name. Reports. Through an error. All right, let's go back and do that again. I'm shocked. I threw an error. New, more options, and we'll create a, I know what's wrong there. A document library, and I'm going to call it My Reports. There you go. Okay, so I've got that My Reports down here. I've created this document library. I'm going to go into Library Settings, and this is where you need to wake up. I'll go into Advanced Settings down here, and I'm going to allow the management of content types. Yes. Drill all the way down to the bottom, find the OK. All right, and now we're going to come down here, and we're going to add content types that we want to work with. So I'm going to say Add from Existing Site Content Types. I'll pull down my group, and I'm going to do SQL Server Reporting Services Content Types. Blip. And we'll go in there, and I don't like report models, so we're not going to use them. I'll add reports and data sources, and I'll say OK. So now I've got that, and I'm going to change. I don't like the document firing on up, so I'm going to change that. And I'm going to dump out document because I don't want to start a document, a Word document. I just want to do these content types. So I'm going to say OK, and now we're home. So let's go over, look, there's reports, and that's a bug. My reports in here, And I'm going to come in here and we're going to click Documents. You notice, see, this says Library, whereas Performance Point said List. So I come here in Library, and if I pull this down, there are the content types. So I could just click here and start Report Builder and fire up a create a report in Report Builder. Not really. Watch. Beep, beep, beep. Here's the error. This report blah 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 doesn't work, and this is beyond scope here, but I want to show you what's actually happening. I have SQL 2012 installed, so let's go in and take a look at that. Let's go into SQL 2012. Let's go into Configuration Tools. Let's go into Reporting Services Configuration Manager. The irritating, can I do this? And I'll pause while it fires up. Okay, now I'm going to connect into my root or root, depending where you grew up. And notice report server mode is native. That's why I threw, let me move that down. That's why I threw this error, because I am not in SharePoint mode. I'm in native mode. Now, one thing, if those of you that are actually working with SQL Server 2008 or 2008 R2, before you go to 2012, you can no longer switch these from native over to integrated mode. You have to do that on your original installation, so be aware of that. And I'm going to exit out of that. And that's all there is to looking at internal content types, and also to go in and create a library. Now let's get rid of these and show you how to do that, or if you're not. So I'm going to go in here to not site settings. Is it? No, just a second. Alright, site actions, manage content. Curses. And there's reports, which really isn't there, and it's kind of half there, it's ghosted, half there and half not there. So I'm going to get rid of that. And what's the other one I created? My reports, I really don't want that in there either. So I'm just going to go through and delete them. Okay, and that's gone. Reports really is kind of still in there because it's just an issue. So we'll go back home, and so much for that.